Hello everyone, how are you? Define the things. Let's create our solution. Um, one web API using .NET Core, C# language. So let's create a new project, and we will use to start a blank solution, the empty solution to uh, add the new projects um, in the future. Right, so choose this option, blank solution, clicking next in, let's insert the name for our solution. So the stock management, wrong text, sorry, stock management or stack manager. Okay, the short name. So clicking the create button and waiting the generator the project for our solution. Uh, Let me get to the screen where I have the Visual Studio. Yes, good. So we have only the solution. I don't have any project, and we will creating and add projects now. Okay. So clicking the right button of mouse and choose the option add new project, and we will creating the API. So using this option, ASP.NET Core Web API. If you don't have this option for the recent templates, you can to insert the text for the search. So insert the web API and choose this option for executing the Linux and Mac. Okay, and the language is C#. So next button, click it. And for our project name, we will use the same name for the solution, but like this application for API, web API, we will insert the suffix API. Nice. So I click in the next option. We will using the 3.1 version. I don't use the HTTPS configure. Okay, and without authentication for now. So clicking the creating and awaiting the project will be created every resource and components that we need to work in. Good. So I close this panel, and this is the basic structure for working to API, web APIs. Okay. So we will have in our class program. This class is starting everything, every execution, the begin the things happen in this class, more precisely in this method man. So I have in the call in this 16 line for my this method create a host builder using this option inserted in this line, the 19 line, and for the creating the our web host application, we need using a file, more specifically a class for implementing this startup, the starter the application, the initialization, the configuration, the things. So we define a class for make it is. So they inserted this startup. So if we verify our solution, we'll have this other class startup, and here we go to understand what's happening in this class now. Okay, so let me see. So we have an object called configuration. It's from the iConfiguration interface from Microsoft extension, right? So this is very useful to implement some configuration when you're working to need using the informations about the settings for app in this file, specifically this file app settings, and your variation for environments. We using this object configuration, and we need using for configure the things. And you have this other very important method called configure services. So when we will building our classes and interfaces, we need to implement this setup for the dependence injection, right? So we will implementing this is in this method. Inside this method, the configure services using this object service, this parameter from service collection interface. Okay, so you have the other method to configure some things like environments, variables, and enable other things like routing, and we will see like working to routing when using our on the endpoints, our APIs, and this other option enable the user to use endpoints using the controllers. So you have a folder called controllers, and this name is for the structure to create an application using the model called MVC, model view controllers. So the model is the every code that we will implement in the backend for our application via repository, services, application, utilitaries. So everything compose our model. In the view, the V letters is useful to represent the U interface, the communication to user. Okay, and for finally we have the controllers. The controllers have the is the let me see the better explanation for this. The controller is useful to implement the connecting between the view and my model. So when the customer make him a request for one endpoint for our API, the controller receives this request, process this information, send the parameters for my models, and finally, when the process is completely, he's returning a response for our customer, right? So the controller make this midfield to communication between the models and the views. But don't worry, because we will creating this in the next videos. We are creating our all controllers for see how the things are working. Okay, but for started the .NET creating for us template a model. The weather forecast controller useful to offer this some random aleatory forecast for the time. Okay, the temperatures. So in this class, the class uses the inheritance for the controller base. Is a class for permitted that we working to creating our APIs and our endpoints, and I have this other notation, API controller and routing, that we need for using the API. Good. So the other line is only the code to showing this some examples and how I created my request using the verb HTTP GET, and is a random generating data. Only examples, okay, to verify how the things are working. So I have the other files. The app setting is for some information about setup for application. I have the other option for dependence, where I define other libs or other projects that I need inserted to complete my solution. But in the future, we using the dependence. Okay, so let's test the application when it's created, how the things is showing for us. Let's verify now. Good, so I click in the play for loading the application. So the compile prepare the things to building, and I receive the open the application. Very nice. So I have this my application running in my localhost, and you'll be random defining the ports. So if I need verify the port is used to execution my application, I have this properties folder, and I have this file JSON launch settings. Verify this. I have in two options initially to execution. I have using the settings for yes, settings. So I have in this localhost this port, right? In this useful to execution, but I have in the other option to executing and change the form to the option to play application, and the things executing using this URL HTTP localhost in the 1500 port. Okay, to change this option to execution, I stop application, and before the clicking the play, I change this option this. So I have two options. Yes, express, sorry, and stock manager API. This is the name for our application. So if I change for stock manager API, the URL uses this localhost and 5000. So that's I'm testing this. I change and click and play. My application is executing again, and looking this change the port used to our web host. Okay, so this name is our controller, and the information is generated for us. So this name, weather forecast, is exactly the name for our controller, created like a template. For example, for us, so weather forecast, but I don't using this controller suffix in the HTTP address, right? So nice, application is working. So in the next video, we will creating our model. So this idea is creating a simple model to only to represent how I'm working for our controller, the model, the services, repositories. Okay, so I see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.